is streaming. If you have not tuned in before, this is a stand-up comedy / talk show, depending on the day, where I, Daliso Chaponda, a comedian who has no audience because I am now housebound because of the coronavirus / COVID, every evening at 9 p.m. I take you through a comedic journey. Either I tell a bunch of jokes from audience suggestions, or like today, I do a deep dive on a theme. Okay, so let me just check if you see me. Please write a comment so that I know that you see me. We will get started in approximately 1 minute. Let me move that out of there. We're on my little kitchen table and I'm doing my show. Is there anybody in the building? Anybody in the building? Say hello if you see me. Say hello if you see me. I think it's streaming. Okay, you see me. Somebody sees me on Facebook. So we're at least streaming to Facebook. I'm not sure about YouTube. So welcome, Gareth. Welcome to the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Coronacast comedy show where I, Daliso Chaponda, discuss topics pertinent to the corona crisis. Today's episode is one of my table shows, which is a bit like a talk show where I do a deep dive on one subject. And for today, I have chosen punishment. Yes, punishment. Why punishment, ladies and gentlemen? Because we're living in an interesting world where no matter where you are in the world, there are some new rules, new regulations, which we need to abide to, right? It's changed the idea of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. For example, in some places, congregating in groups of more than 3 or 4 people is not allowed, right? Going into a grocery store and trying to buy something that is not deemed essential in some places is not allowed. In South Africa, for example, you cannot buy alcohol, you cannot buy cigarettes, right? So all over the world, there are new rules, new regulations, and there is now new punishments, right? So I'm going to talk about punishment. So in the first half of the show, I'm going to talk about the specific corona-related punishments that people have been getting, right? And then I'm also going to talk about people who feel like the coronavirus itself is a punishment from God or from Mother Nature, right? So I'm going to talk about that. Then there's going to be a little interval. In the interval, I will chat to the people who are in the chat room, say hello. If you have questions, I will answer the questions. So if you ask a question with lots of question marks, then in the interval, I will see it as I scroll through the comments. And then the second half, we're going to talk about punishing children and punishing adults. So hope you enjoy the episode. Let's get started. Hello. Hello. Buffering at the moment. I love your name. You've got the perfect online name. Hello, Matt Emery. Hello, Jason Comer. Hello, everybody. This is not a onesie. This is a hoodie. A hoodie from Kenya. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so I wanted to talk about these corona-related punishments because different countries are approaching it very differently, right? Very, very differently. And I say this partly because I live in the UK and I'm not sure that the UK is approaching it well at all, right? Because if you're not aware, people in the rest of the world, in the UK, the Prime Minister and a few other people have said, this is what's not allowed, this is what's allowed, but they've sort of done it like guidelines, you know what I mean? It's not like you shall not leave your house more than once a day. If you leave your house more than once a day, you will be punished, right? It's done very much like guidelines. And when people break it, the police come and they kind of cajole them and kind of, reprimand them. But it's not like severe punishment. And so there are lots of idiots who are just doing their own thing. There's 68 million people. You can't persuade 68 million people to do anything just by cajoling them, right? And so I was like, what are the punishments? And I kid you not, like there's a fine of 30 pounds. 30 pounds, that's nothing, right? 30 pounds, it's like a library fine, right? You can't ask people nicely. Maybe it's because I grew up under dictatorship. I think there's some times when you got to be able to tell people, this is what is going to happen, right? punish them. All right, punish them. Now, look. I know it's very weird for me as a black person to say that I think the police need to be more severe. That's like a diabetic saying, sugar, come on, sugar, clog up my arteries, kill me, please. I know I am actually usually the natural enemy of severe policemen, but in this situation, I'm not fully understanding why they're taking such a kind of lax view of people who are, breaking the rules. So, I decided to look at some other countries' responses, discuss them. Don't worry, this is still a comedy show, so I have chosen funny, not tragic versions that other countries are doing, okay? So the first one, which delighted me to learn, was in India, okay? In India, at a holy site, there was a bunch of tourists who had come and gathered round, and they were more than were allowed. They were not social distancing. So the punishment which they were given was to write 500 times the line, I did not follow the rules of lockdown, so I am so sorry. I did not follow the rules of lockdown, so I am so sorry. I love it. They're bringing back primary school punishments, right? It's absolutely great. One, the indignity. I think it's probably effective because the indignity of being an adult. Maybe you're a lawyer. Maybe you are maybe you're a real estate agent and you're there sitting down like some stupid kid, right? I did not follow the rules. I actually think they should make them do it on a blackboard in the center of town and people can throw things at them. Let's bring back the stocks. Bring back the stocks. Put people in stocks and fling stuff at them. We all need to release some stress, people, right? Now, I actually think they should bring back other kid punishments, right? Other than writing 500 lines, maybe this is what the UK needs to do, right? UK, we need more severe punishment. So number one, write lines, right? I broke the rules. I'm sorry. I should not have broke the rules. Number two, naughty step. We need to bring in the naughty step. And which step should we use? Why don't we use number 10 Downing Street? For those outside the UK, this is the it's where the Prime Minister, it's like British version of the White House. It's the, Downing Street. So this is what I say. Step of Downing Street can be the naughty step, right? You break the rules, you have to sit on that step and everybody knows what you did, right? Third, we should bring back, beat them on the back of the hand with the ruler. I'm not saying cane them. I'm not suggesting Singapore style, but just beat them on the hand, right? But publicly. I think the main thing is everybody needs to see you endure this public humiliation, right? Though, as an aside, I remember when I was a little kid and I was given lines, I used to try and develop all kinds of ways to get away with it. Like I used to try and write on 2 pages at the same time. And even though I'm not good on this hand, I thought maybe I could train myself to write double plate. And then the other thing which I used to do is I would pre-write lines because I hated writing lines. So if I knew I was going to do something wrong, I would start pre-writing the lines because I knew I'd be given that assignment to do. It was kind of silly thing to do because I still end up doing the lines, but I thought I was defeating the system. But anyway, writing lines, that's the first story which I found, right? Then one of the neighbors to India, Sri Lanka, oh my gosh, even better. So people who broke the rules, the lockdown rules in Sri Lanka, a lot of them, the police were making them do push-ups and sit-ups, right? I don't know if the police, it's like their punishments are sponsored by Virgin Active Gym, right? I can't wait until they literally bring out a treadmill and say, run 5 miles on the treadmill because you broke lockdown rules. The only thing which I think is absolutely amazing about this is they're punishing people, but at the same time, they're helping them, right? They're helping them lose weight. They're helping them become more healthy, right? I like the idea of punishment as a way of bettering people. This is why I think in the UK, they need to introduce punishments such as, right? Do some push-ups, do some sit-ups, okay? Oh, you haven't called your mom in 3 months? as your punishment, call your mom right now, right? Work on your relationship, right? What else? Oh, you've broken the rules. Drink a smoothie. Drink a kale smoothie, right? Drink a spinach smoothie. Make us better to punish us. This is one of the things which I think we should get inspiration from Sri Lanka. Okay? Next! The Philippines. The Philippines, I don't know if this is the best one, but this is absolutely fascinating. So in the Philippines, some policemen found some people late at night going down the street who were in a big group, right? Felt they were going to a party or something. And so as a punishment, made them kiss each other and do a TikTok sexy dance video. Now, this may seem weird to you, but it worked because the idea was they wanted them to be publicly humiliated, right? And so this TikTok video went viral of them doing some stupid dance, went viral, right? And this is going to be the first time lip syncing has been used as a form of punishment, right? Punishment by social media. And I actually think this could work, right? Social media punishment. Because right now, everyone's at home anyway. Everyone's on Facebook. Everyone's on Instagram. So what we need to do is all punishments should be done on like the government YouTube channel or the government Snapchat channel, right? Instead of corporal punishment, right? Instead of capital, I messed up the words. Replace capital punishment with social capital punishment, right? So instead of snapping your neck with the rope, no, we humiliate you on Snapchat. Okay, I got the wording right, but maybe it wasn't worth it. But you see what I'm saying, man? We need to learn from the Philippines, right? And then also, I've got to talk about South Africa, right? South Africa have been very draconian with people who are breaking the rules, and they arrested a bride and groom who still had a wedding ceremony despite the lockdown. That both of them and their more than 50 guests were arrested and locked up. And I actually think that this should be the twist ending of The Bachelor. You know these TV shows which is just a bunch of people trying to couple up like blind dates? I never watched them. But if I knew at the end of it, the couple were going to be imprisoned and incarcerated, I would tune in. In fact, you would not want to be chosen by The Bachelor. In fact, women would be lying. He'd be saying stuff like, oh, what do you like to do? You're like, oh, I like to stab people. I like to spit on people. I like to chew my toes in public. You know what I'm saying? One thing I do want to know about the South African people who put people on their wedding day in prison is, were they given a conjugal visit, right? Were they allowed to meet in some room in the prison and have sex? Because I actually think prison sex, right, probably make it hotter, right? It'll be kind of forbidden, you know what I mean? They might have had the best nuptials of any couple on the planet. Okay, so that's what I've got to say about the punishments from different countries, right? Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about on the subject of punishment is the fact that a lot of people, religious people, are suggesting it's a punishment from God. And then other people, scientists, well, not necessarily scientists, but people who believe in the Gaia theory, believe that Mother Nature, this is Mother Nature fighting back because of all of our overpopulation and things like that. And so, okay, so first of all, let me talk about this thing. Punishment from God, right? For example, John Carson in Ireland, who's a sort of public figure, he blames Corona on the legalizing of abortion in Ireland and homosexuality in Ireland. And I was like, why is Ireland determining what happens in the rest of the world? I mean, homosexuality has been legal in loads of places, right? Abortion's been legal in loads of places. What was it about Ireland that God was like, no, enough, we can have gays anywhere else, but not on beloved Ireland. Kazaa, boom, here comes Corona. It doesn't make sense, right? Doesn't make sense. But I gotta tell you, there is a long tradition of blaming homosexuals for all sorts of things. I made a list, okay? These are things that over the years homosexuals have been blamed for natural disasters, okay? So in 2016, a New Zealand pastor blamed homosexuals for earthquakes, right? In 2017, UKIP in the UK, one of the ministers of UKIP at the time blamed homosexuals having sex for floods, right? Their sex brings earthquakes and floods, right? My sex can barely bring, a woman to have an orgasm, let alone be able to affect the wind and the rain. Oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, right? In 2008, the financial crisis, the global financial crisis, was blamed by a U.S. presidential nominee, Rick Santorum, to be because of homosexuals, right? Mouse infestations, Brexit, ISIS, the Holocaust, all sorts of things have been blamed on homosexuals over history, right? And I gotta say, if I have any homosexual people who are watching this show, why don't you use this? This is an opportunity. I don't know why they never used this before. If people believe that homosexual sex has the power to bring all of these calamities, you should hold the world hostage. Homosexuals should make ransom videos saying, hey, give us £1 million or we're gonna bum each other, right? And if we bum each other, God's gonna bring the apocalypse, so you better give us the money right now. Oh gosh. And also the entire idea that it's a punishment or a test. Now look, maybe it is. Now look, I don't want to dismiss these things because I don't know anything, right? But I have read the Bible, right? I've read the Bhagavad Gita. I've read several religious books. I like reading religious books. And the way it usually works, the way it always works, not even usually, always works, is if there's going to be a test or a punishment, first, before it happens, one of God's prophets shows up, right? One of God's prophets shows up and says, guys, punishment's coming, unless, right? One of God's people comes up like Noah and says, hey, change your ways. Flood's coming. They're not listening to him. Starts building a boat, right? Prophet needs to come first. Advertise the apocalypse before the apocalypse comes. I don't see any of these, right? The prophet was not there before it happened. After it happened, a bunch of people started saying, excuse me, I think this is maybe punishment from God. I'm not sure, man. I think there would have had to have been an advertiser, right? If there was a guy building a bunker, like Noah 2020 was building a bunker and telling all of us, virus is coming, unless you change your ways, then maybe I would say maybe it's a test or punishment. If not, I just don't know what it is. I think we're all confused, right? And the other thing I finally want to say is people always say the problem is other people's sins, right? It's always other people's sins. It's always like homosexuals are bumming. It's always like you people are being licentious. Oh, you stop dancing to the rap music. Oh, it's never your own sins. I want one of these guys to stand up and say, hey, guys, this coronavirus, it's my fault. Okay, I hate it. I've been cheating on my wife for 3 years, and I have a secret family, and, I just like being tied up and dressed as a chicken. It's my fault. I want one of these people to say, it's my fault for the punishment, not blame someone else. Okay. We're going to go to the comments for a little while, and then we're going to get back to punishment. Okay. Let's go. Let's check it out. Buffering at the moment. Glad you're laughing. Hello in Malta on mandatory quarantine, and it looks like it's a 10,000 fine. Now, 10,000, that will work, right? 10,000 is going to stop a person from breaking the rules. £30 will not, okay? Phil Britton says it's all 5G's fault. Okay. Some people are blaming Carol Baskin. Hello from Romania. So glad. Actually, I love Romania. I've got a good friend who lives in Craiova. So I thank you for coming, Marius Masiu. Let's see. Spot asked me, what is the best joke I have ever heard? Best joke I've ever... That's a really tough one to answer, but what I would suggest, a brilliant routine, right? A brilliant routine would be if you go to Eddie Murphy's Raw, I believe, and the routine which he did about his dad being drunk. Oh, no, I've got it. My favorite routine right now is actually a Trevor Noah routine. After when you leave my show, Google Trevor Noah Mom Got Shot and watch that routine. That is an astonishing routine. That's the most recent one I can think of. And then of the old classics, check out Eddie Murphy, Drunk Dad. So that's Spot. Hope you enjoy those jokes. Okay, anything else? Let's see. Hello. Patron Burada says, punish me, baby. Clearly, we've got someone who's into getting tied up and whipped in the audience. Excellent. Joe Bates says, do I know any good Easter jokes? I did some jokes. I did some Easter jokes yesterday. If you check out the Easter special episode, you'll be able to find those jokes. Next one. Juan Jose, thank you so much for enjoying the show. And, Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa prophesied about it. He prophesied about everything. You've got to understand how a lot of our African prophets work, is that they make around 500 different predictions. And then one of them comes true and you say, you see, I'm right! Right? So, let's see. Okay, excellent. Let us keep going to part 2, where we start talking about punishment. Now, look, I'm not just going to talk about corona-related punishment. For the second half, I'm expanding it to just how we punish people in our lives, right? And children get punished a lot, right? I remember when I was a kid who often got punished, but I still have one memory. I don't know if it's funny, but this is my memory I always remember. So I was a kid who always used to get bullied, right? I was little, I was small, I was one of the only black kids in the class. So there was a number of reasons I was always being bullied. I don't really know why, but I was being bullied. My life was living hell. There were some older kids who used to make my life a living hell. And then one day I had enough. Had enough. I'd been beaten so much by this prefect, and I was like, I had enough. And they were all playing rugby, and planted on the 4 corners of the rugby pitch, there were these white stakes to mark it. I ran, grabbed one of the white stakes, turned it into my own makeshift javelin/spear, charged onto the rugby pitch, and stabbed this prefect. Now, you've got to understand, this kid was like double my size and wider than me. I just stabbed him. It was a suicide mission. I knew that I couldn't do much damage, and immediately after I would be beaten to a pulp, but I'd had enough, so I just speared the guy, and then I started taking my beating. The teachers broke us apart, and then we were both sent to detention and made to stand in the corner of the room, right? We're just going to stand in the corner of the room and think about our fight for the next hour or whatever. But I still remember when I was standing in the corner, the teacher who had given me this punishment and said, you must stand here, under his breath, he said, well done. Because they knew I'd been bullied. They'd seen us being bullied, and they only interceded once in a while. And he just was like, well done. He still had to punish me, but I still remember that. I don't know what that's got to do with anything, but that's just a memory which came into my mind, right? Now, during the coronavirus, right, it's very difficult for parents who have to punish their kids, because you're now the teacher, you are now the best friend, you're everything to the kid, because the kids aren't going to school. And sometimes you have to punish the kids. And I've mentioned this on previous episodes. You can't send them to their room. They're already in the room, right? You can't say you're grounded. Everybody's grounded, right? So you need some inventive ways to punish them, right? You need some inventive ways to punish them. And I think you need to make them do stupid TikTok videos, right? I think of all the ones which were suggested by the first examples, I think social media is what kids are on, and they're terrified of being humiliated in front of their friends. So now the threat of punishment is dumb TikTok, right? Instead of doing it to the new Rihanna song or the song which they want to do it, make them do it to golden oldies, right? Your kid's been naughty, he has to do his TikTok to Elvis Presley, right? Your kid's been naughty, he has to do it to Frank Sinatra. That's my suggestion. Okay, next. Okay, there is one thing though. I think that everybody who has kids and everybody who doesn't have kids always judge how other people punish their kids, right? Even if you can't control your kids, people get a joy of raging at, look at the little shits they're bringing up. She has no control over them. Meanwhile, you have no control over yours. But I think as humans, we like to judge others for mistakes we have ourselves. But as a final thing I wanted to talk about this episode, I wanted to talk about the way in which we punish adults, right? Now, it's a very serious subject, but there will be some funny things hidden inside, right? But this is the thing. Now, I'm not just talking in terms of Corona. I'm talking as society. As society, most of us in the world right now, we do what is called retributive punishment, right? Like revenge punishment. So essentially the idea is somebody breaks into your house, steals stuff, gets caught, gets put in prison, right? Now, this is not the only way to do it. It's just what's become commonplace, right? And it's interesting because the value of this, right, is, I guess, is in the idea that we all do like math. We all do math, and we won't do a crime if the punishment is bad enough. So this is the logic behind it, right? So if I steal from that house, I'll get a nice television. But if I'm caught, I could be put in prison for 5 years, right? I don't want to go to prison for 5 years, so I will not rob that house. That's the logic behind it. But this logic does not actually work in practice. If you actually look at the numbers, criminals aren't really deterred. The people who want to do it are either so desperate or they just want to do it that they'll do it despite the fact that they might be caught. I mean, even think in your own lives. Think in your own lives. Think of all the people who cheat on their partner, cheat on their wife, or cheat on their husband, right? You'll cheat on your wife, lose your house, lose your marriage, only be able to see your kids once a weekend, right? For some people, they may think that's a plus, but for most people, that's horrible, right? Now, you will risk all of that for what? A good 30 minutes in bed with someone? Sometimes they're not even hot. We don't do the math. We just follow our impulses, right? And I suppose some people feel, the value of it is that it punishes people, but is it really making the world better? There's another thing which people suggest, right? There's an alternative which is suggested, right? Now, this does not work for all crimes, right? There are some crimes where I think it makes sense to do it retributive, when it's something truly horrible, like murder or rape or something like that. But for the smaller crimes, there are some thinkers who suggest restorative justice, right? Now, this is based on the idea that all crimes involve a relationship, right? You break a relationship, you hurt someone else, right? So if you steal my television, right, you hurt my feelings. If you go get locked away, I don't get my television back. So the idea of restorative justice is, instead of just putting you in prison, right, they make you work, and all of your work goes to buying me a new television. And as soon as you've bought me a new television, you're set free, right? Also, you have to meet me face to face. We have to talk about it. You have to apologize to me. I have to tell you how it hurt, right? It's very interesting, right? They have mediation, and I'll give you the biggest version of it. I said it's only for crimes which aren't huge, but actually it was used in the case of some of the most horrific crimes of all time. Now, this is not funny at all. This is just something which is amazing. The Truth and Reconciliation trials in South Africa were the best version of trying to do restorative justice, right? Because after apartheid had ended, There were so many crimes that had been committed, so many horrific, like, humiliations and prejudiced actions. People had been beaten, people had been blinded, people had been bullied. It had been horrible, horrible, horrible time, right? And people such as Desmond Tutu, Nelson Mandela, all of them said, look, if we just go for revenge, retribution, this could be horrible. This could be years of just a bloodbath. It could be total chaos. So they went for the restorative choice. They said, everybody who has done something wrong, you can come out and you can say what you did, right? What you did. And the people who were wronged will listen. Nothing will be done to you. And it will just be an airing. There will be an airing out of all of the horrible things so that we can move forward. It's brilliant, isn't it? And with that in mind, I would like to take this moment to say to my girlfriend that I've been cheating on you for the past year with 3 separate women. Now look. Retributive justice is not the way to go. I think we need to go with restorative justice, right? I've aired what I've done, and now I think you should forgive me. Yes, all of that was just a long setup to a silly joke. I'm a comedian. That's what I do. But still, there is some truth hidden in the setup. So before I go, let's take one final look at the comments. Hello, Riz from the Comedy Store in Manchester. Oh, I'm going to keep going. Of course, I'm going to keep going. It is a minefield, it is. Eric Black says, this is BS. What is BS? No. This is not a stand-up show. I do sitting sometimes. I do standing some days. Excellent. Well, I don't see any further questions. This was a bit of a shorter episode, but 30 minutes is still an episode. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming into the Coronacast comedy show every day, 9 p.m. If you enjoyed the show, please go to africancomedian.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom, join the mailing list. When Corona's over, I'm going to go on a tour, and I will message you and let you know when I am coming to your city. I'll be back every day, 9 p.m. See you then. Bye.